Hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, My Legion Adventure, episode 71. And this is a sad moment in a way. Not, crying, tear sad, but this is the end of the adventure run, which gives a name to this segment of Stop, Let's Team Up, My Legion Adventure. It was definitely a wink toward Adventure Comics. Really, this run is such an amazing, huge part of the legend that is Legion of Superheroes. Even though he popped up from time to time in Superboy, he would appear in other books, or the team would appear in other Superboy or Superman related books. Adventure Comics showed how this team and this group of characters could support its own title. And technically, Adventure Comics was its title, because that's the way comics worked back then. You didn't need to have a comic with your name as the title name. It could be Adventure Comics starring Legion of Superheroes, a Detective Comics starring Batman World, trying to start Superman and Batman team-ups, stuff like that. But it's really important, and we're at the last two issues. So I just kind of want to cover them, not like I normally would, but I also want to kind of talk what I think about this era as a whole. So first up, and let's just get right into it, is Adventure Comics 379. Cover dated April 1969. Cover artist Neil Adams, letterer Jasper Saladino. This is a really famous cover. I think it's famous. It's one that sticks with me. And you got Shrinking Violet, some alien priests, and Invisible Kid in a spaceship, and they are burying Superboy in space in a crystal coffin. And it's lovely Neil Adams' work. The story is called Burial in Space. It's a 23-pager. Part 1 is called Showdown on Ceres, Seeris, and Part 2 is called Help Comes, ... Too Late? ? So, again, it is editor, plotter, Mort Weisinger, plotter, scripter, penciler, layouts only, Jim Shooter, penciler, Win Mortimer, inker, Jack Abel, letterer, John Costanza. Roll call: Lightning Lad, Duo Damsel, Phantom Girl, Chameleon Boy, Invisible Kid, Starboy, Brainiac 5, Shrinking Violet, Superboy, Ultra Boy, Princess Projector, Karate Kid, Chemical King, and Timberwolf. The villains unnamed R.V.M. Savages and Alec Corlo. We're on the planet Ceres. List of people. I'm not going to read who's not there, which is neat. That's in. We're on the last issue of Illustrated Index of Legion of Superheroes, and it has got a lovely Richard Howell cover. You should check these out. You can find them on eBay relatively cheap, and they're fun. So I'm going to take the synopsis from Mike's Amazing World website. It's a great one, guys, for old comic info. But I'm going to use this synopsis because it is a lot shorter. An alien arrives in Legion headquarters to request aid. He finds 5 Legionnaires dying from poison and stops time to save them. He then meets 7 other Legionnaires who are returning from another mission. To save their teammates, the 7 Legionnaires offer their assistance to the alien. The Legionnaires return to the alien's homeworld, Ceres, where an army of brutes is attacking. The people of Ceres have vast mental powers, but lack the physical force to repel the invaders. The Legionnaires attempt to defend the city, but their own powers is not enough to repel the attackers. The Legion inspires the aliens to resume physical activity and defend themselves. Finding strength in numbers, the aliens are able to defeat the invaders. The Legionnaires return to headquarters after being told that the aliens have cured everyone there. Unfortunately, they discovered that Invisible Kid and Shrinking Violet found their apparently dead teammates and sent their bodies into space. Ultra Boy saves the Legionnaires by using the miracle machine to revive them. The identity of the man who poisoned them is then revealed as a small-town crook called Alec Corlo. And a little extra info from Mike's Amazing World is this comic was published on February 27th, 1969. This continues last issue's adventure, which is that was how they got frozen in time. I enjoyed it. The alien is very much like the Greys, like in a spacesuit, kind of like I think maybe this is when the idea of the Greys was the gray aliens started to pop up in pop culture. there's some nice designs, like the alien city is beautiful. It's clean. The pencils are clean. The aliens, although they're basic, and the brutes, they're just basically big, giant, fanged white guys, bald white guys. I like the lineup of heroes. I like Timberwolf. I don't, because I haven't read, these are ones I don't really remember, or maybe because, I've been kind of disengaged with the Win Mortimer art. Maybe they didn't stick with me, and I haven't done a reread in decades. So it was neat to see Timberwolf as a member in his original costume without the Errol Flynn mustache. I'm noticing that Jim Shooter really liked his creation of Chemical King, because he's in a lot. Because for me, he was just somebody who appeared a few times and died. So I'm glad he's been in a lot of these. But, it's a good lineup. Starboy's in it. I'm a Starman, Starboy, star all the way. So it was good. But it's a very simplistic story. The little sidebar with Invisible Kid and Shrinking Violet is a nice touch. I like that. That you're seeing that the heroes are out in space. The one group is out in space trying to save the five, and two other members who don't know what's going on are grieving. And it was nice to see it. And I thought it actually helped flesh out the story a little bit and make them more connected. And I forgot that I didn't realize the Miracle Machine was in this book. It was in the comics a lot, because it becomes a bigger thing later, in later Legions with Brainiac 5's Mental Breakdown and the second and Matter Eater Lad going mad, which spoilers, but those are 30-year-old comics, so whatever. But it was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. I do like I'm really digging Chemical King. So let's talk about Chemical King for a minute. That he can change things into other. He can, change the molecular chemical structure of stuff to change one thing into another. He turns limestone into marble, but he can also affect his own body chemistry, giving himself. He on page 19 of this comic, Cam's in trouble, and this is all thought balloons, folks. Cam's in trouble. There's only one thing around to use my chemical reaction power on. Me. By speeding up my metabolism, I can make myself 100 times stronger. Wow, sack it to them. But they can't. This can't last. Unlike Superboy or Mon-El, I'm not permanently charged with super energy. At this rate, I'll burn my body's energy reserves up in a second. Then, phew. So that was kind of cool, and I really liked it. It was fun. I liked this one pretty. I thought it was a good finale for that one. It is a comic of the 1960s, so I get that. It is what it is. It's really not the earlier stuff. I think Jim Shooter is really he's just following the formula, and that's all right, because comics were formula back then. So I'm not judging him, and he's also a kid. But it was entertaining, and I enjoyed it. But now let's get up to the final Adventure Comics with Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes being the main feature. All right, here is some of the background information for Adventure Comics 380. It was cover dated May 1969. The on-sale date, March 27th, 1969. Editor, Mort Weisinger. Plotter, writer, scripter, penciler, layouts only, Jim Shooter. Penciler, Win Mortimer. Inker, Jack Abel. Another Neil Adams cover. This one has got Ultra Boy, Duo Damsel, and Bouncing Boy, looking for Superboy, and behind a rock, if they can't see it, is a dinosaur eating his costume. And I didn't mention before in the previous issue, I'm sorry, that the Legion, this has been reprinted in a Legion of Superheroes Archives Volume 9, which is what I'm reading. It Showcase presents the Legion of Superheroes Volume 4 and Legion of Superheroes The Silver Age Omnibus Volume 3, as was the previous issue. The lineup for this issue is Cosmic Boy, Invisible Kid, Duo Damsel, Superboy, Sun Boy, Bouncing Boy, Mon-El, Ultra Boy, Lightning Lad, Dream Girl. Supporting cast, the Legion of Super Pets, Prody, Crypto, Comet, Streaky, and Super Monkey. That would be like my cat, Monkey. She is Super Monkey. The villains are Skysnik and Ilruk. That is spelled SKYZZNX and ALRRK. Other characters, robot duplicates of Superboy, Cosmic Boy, and Dual Damsel. This is a 23-page story. Part Part 1, and the title of the story is The Legion Super Odyssey. Part 2 is The Building of the Ship. And Part 3 is No Welcome to the Wanderers. So, the synopsis from Mike's Amazing World goes as such. Dream Girl contacts Superboy to tell him about a prophetic dream. Moments later, 8 Legionnaires, including Superboy, are teleported to a remote planet. While scouting the area, the team encounters a monstrous creature which kills the Boy of Steel with his kryptonite teeth. The other Legionnaires build a memorial to the fallen teammate. They then construct a spaceship to carry them home. Ultra Boy launches the ship into space, but their journey home is stalled when a meteor damages the ship. The Legionnaires land the ship on another planet to make repairs. A storm threatens, rages, and leaving Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy in peril. But a sudden whirlpool saves them. After repairs are made, the Legionnaires finish the trip back to Earth. When they reach Earth, they are denied permission to land. Ultra Boy then witnesses robot doubles of themselves being destroyed. The Legionnaires then lands and are surprised to find Superboy alive. The Boy of Steel explains that he and the Legion of Super Pets were responsible for the team's exile. They were acting to protect them from a threat perpetrated by 2 would-be conquerors as foreseen by Dream Girl. The Legion then regroups to find the conquerors who were hiding on the surface of the sun. Instead of allowing themselves to be captured, the villains killed themselves without explanation. This was a 3-part story, which is the only one I can remember them were doing this. I like that it highlights Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy. You see the formation of them becoming a couple, which will, in Superboy 200, will lead to their wedding. And they are both great characters, but I think from here on, that characterization and them being a couple, a pair of strong, loving heroes, they're just so more fleshed out. And it's not a very patriarchal relationship where Chuck's the boss and Duo Damsel becomes demure and, oh yes dear, whatever you say. She's actually the stronger, she's a leader in a lot of ways. And I think that kind of starts here. And Bouncing Boy is what Chuck has always been, the heart of the Legion. He loves everybody. He's about being positive. He's like Elongated Man in that way. He's a semi-comedic character, but he is a true hero, and he can be the heart and soul of the Legion. And that is a big part of this. But I like this one. The art, again, it's a little bit better. The Jack Abel art, inks on Win Mortimer, and Win Mortimer's pencils aren't my favorite. But there are panels and pages I like. Again, you see Superboy talking to Dream Girl over the monitor and not hearing the conversation. And, Superboy gets him off planet. And everything's faked. And it's just, it's a neat little story. It's like an old movie serial. It's got its cliffhangers at the end of each section. And it moves pretty good. I think this is a tighter story, even though it is 23 pages. It's tighter than the last few, in my opinion, for my taste. It works better, but it is still a very basic. They're either sent on a mission or they have all these puzzles to solve, and what they think is happening is really not happening because 2 other members, or a member, this time it's 2 members, have kept something from them to protect them or to do whatever to catch the bad guys. So I do like the second chapter's got a lot more action. The cliffhanger in that where Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy are stuck on a rock is great. And how Ultra Boy gets the ship back into space by swinging the ship through the whirlpool, picking up speed and carrying them back to Earth. The Super Pets are only in it for a panel, but I like seeing them. The monster was actually Crypto inside a Makaba monster. He's operating the fake kryptonite teeth. Comet kicks the meteor. Streaky helps with the ship. Super Monkey is the one who creates the whirlpool. And then, the 2 aliens, they're on the surface. There is no surface of the sun, is there? Or is it just big gas? I don't know. But they're sitting on it, and they die. They, commit suicide rather than be captured. And I'm looking at, in Mike's Amazing World, these 2 characters never came back. I don't know if Jim Shooter was setting something up But it never went anywhere. So, but that was a fun issue. That was of all the Win Mortimer shooter ones, I think that was kind of one of my favorite. It was very simple. It was very, to me, very similar to the Forte era, the Auto Binder, Alfred Bester, the John. I call it the John Forte era because he's mostly the reason I love it. It's very close to that era, the late 50s, early 60s, kind of very simple tales. So it's fun. So that's it for this run. I mean, it's a good long run. It's 80 issues. It's a lot of years back then for a title. They wanted to give Supergirl her own title, so they decided Adventure was going to be the way. And they moved Superboy into Action as a backup feature, the way Legion was originally. So it's kind of a backpedal. I'm not really familiar with those issues, so I'm looking forward to going into them. I've said that before. But overall, I think the entire Adventure run of Legion from 300 to now is one of the greats of it. It is one of those touchstone ones. I think it hits its peak. Well, let's split it in two. There's the John Forte era and then the Jim Shooter era. Okay, there were several writers during Forte, but Forte's art really, I think, is what holds that era together. And the change in writing with Jim Shooter coming on board, especially some of those early two-parters, which are just absolute masterpieces, I think, really shaped it. So this is really, it's got two. But a lot of what they create in the two eras, especially a lot of what Shooter does, gets touched on when this moves over to Action, and then Superboy, and you've got Shooter coming back, you got Carrie Bates writing some, you got Paul, and then eventually Paul Levitz, and then into when it gets its own title, when Superboy becomes Superboy in the Legion in the 80s, or late 70s, early 80s. This era is just so amazing. It is worth a read. It took 6 archives pretty much. But everything is good. All the characters are well fleshed out. You know who they are. I think by this point, since the characters are so fleshed out, they're really not doing any. I mean, this thing with Duo Damsel and Bouncing Boy doesn't touch on a romance, but I think it's where the other writers grab it and move with it. But I think some of the interpersonal relationships are really well defined in the two-parters with Swan Klein. I've gone away by this point, and it's just, they're really kind of simplifying it. So I'm looking forward to see what the Action run is like. That will be, that's all here in this archive. So when this archive ends, I will move to Superboy, where we get to some George Tusk art, which I love. You get Mike Grell and you get Dave Cockrum. So I'm looking forward to that. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this part of the journey. It is time to move on to Action Comics, and I've enjoyed talking about them. I look forward to rediscovering the Action run, and hopefully I enjoy it. I mean, I'm not not enjoying it, but we're not in my sweet spot, which happens. Comics have not sweet parts. I'm a big Avengers fan. There are areas of that I don't like. Right now, I'm not. I'm a big I like Ted McKay's writing. I don't like his Avengers. And it's bugging me because it's just, it's not hitting my sweet spot. And, and writers and artists are never going to always nail it 100% for any reader. So that is what it is. All right, folks, this has been recorded very late, several days. This is Saturday morning. Work has been hell. I did want to get this up. I did my homework. I read it. I read this index and some other stuff, and I wanted to get out. So I'm going to finish this. I am going to do a quick edit and post and get it on social media. And then I'm going to lay down for a couple hours because I have to work either a 9-hour overnight shift or a 14-hour overnight shift. I am really short-staffed at work. We're one of those phases where everything changes, and I have a poor agent who's not feeling well, and I just got to cover. So that's part of my job as a manager, and I feel like, it's the best thing to, I don't, I like managing people in the way that, build relationships, and I got somebody who's down and needed to take some time, and I'm going to step up, but I'm going to be really sleepy and cranky, and put my wife and dogs and cats in your thoughts, because they're going to have to deal with me after 3 night shifts or 4 night shifts out of the last 3 days. So, but as always, folks, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, and read some comics. Read some Legion of Superheroes. Good for the soul.